We are back, my friends, with my good friend and brother. I'm telling you, he's a brother of mine now.
Mishbucha.
Mishpucha, achi, mishpucha. Mr. Adam Sosnick from the SOSCAST and PBD podcast, guys. You cannot get better than this. I mean, this is a friend who we see eye to eye in literally 99% for now of ideas and topics. We got more to discuss to see.
But that 1%, Benny, we're gonna fight over
We're
this.
gonna spar to no end.
No, Rabbi Benny.
So Adam is here. Tell me, Adam, what's going on? How was the vault? First of all, how do I missed it? I know the guys were calling me dozens. I'm like, I can't. I got a wedding of a friend, investor, a congregant member. I cannot do it.
We got the sheriff to handle. We can't go to the vault. We have to be at this wedding.
Yeah, we gotta, and especially I was the Masada Kedushin. I was ordaining the wedding. I was the rabbinical officiant. I can't miss it. Next year, hopefully, we'll be there.
Well, they say next year in Jerusalem. Well, next year at the vault.
Oh yeah, Shana haba bevault.
There you go. So it'll be somewhere in Florida. I assume we haven't announced it yet, but we call it the vault because, by the way, I'm in a bank vault right now.
Wow!
Where we filmed the PBD podcast. That's it. We're locked in. We can't even get out of here. That's it. We're done.
Why can't you guys do a mini vault in New York? A mini vault.
We might.
For smaller business people, mini vault. I'll be their first one there. I'll be like, yo, where are you guys at?
We're not stopping. Coming to a city near you, that's for sure. But the event that we did, the vault, our fundamental core priority, if anything, is the entrepreneur and free market capitalism and helping small business. And, we don't lose sight of that North Star. Yes, we do podcasts and it's politics and it's current events and it's, stories of our time and our day and of our age and of everything that we got going on, especially election season. But our bread and butter is really helping entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur, a rabbi entrepreneur yourself. You get it?
Yeah.
It was 6,000 entrepreneurs, honestly, everything from CEOs, founders to C-suites to executives, all the way down to, hey, this is my first job working at this company, trying to learn and grow. And some people come by themselves. Some people come with a business partner or a spouse. And then some people come with literally their whole company. Some people, I think the top company, brought 100 employees with them. Think about that. They all traveled, I think, from Arizona. A couple companies did that. They were recognized on stage, but it's business strategy. It's 3 days. PBD is speaking probably, 70, 80% of the time, processing issues, scaling, fundraising, everything about business. And then, you got the steak and then you got the sizzle. The sizzle, we had The Rock as our final keynote speaker. He was amazing. We had, last year we had Tom Brady, Mike Tyson. We have all amazing speakers. We had Will Guidara, who ran 11 Madison, which was the #1 restaurant in the world, located out of New York City. For many years, he spoke about his book, Unreasonable Hospitality. But at the end of the day, it was just an awesome, amazing 3 days, early September, Labor Day weekend. And here's the last thing I'll say, Benny. Some people pay a massive amount of money to be in this room. Now, there's levels to this, like in anything, right? So if you're sitting in the back of the room, entry tickets are $500, $1,000. Very good deal for 3 days of business strategy. It's amazing. But the people in the front of the room, every level you go up, it goes from 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 to 5,000. The people in the front row, where I was sitting, because I know somebody, they're paying, I kid you not, 15, 20 grand to be there. But it's all about proximity. And you know how they say your network is your net worth? These people, I asked them, because listen, I'm the guy saying, save that money, save that money. I said, why do you keep coming back? That's my point. They go, dude, this is my 5th year here. This is my 4th year here. I'm willing to pay the 15, 20, 50 grand, whatever it is that they're buying. And I said, why do you keep doing it? It goes, because I make 10x my money, 100x my money. Because one strategy, one business strategy, one scaling strategy, one exit strategy, one conversation, one connection, you might make $1 million off of that. You might make $5 million off of that. You might make 100 grand from that, whatever it is. And then the ROI, is it worth it or not? So I asked all these guys, these are the CEOs of all these companies, why do you keep coming back? And this one guy told me, he goes, look, when I met Pat, he goes, you were in the meeting, if you remember. I go, oh, yeah, I remember that. I was in Dallas. He goes, exactly. I met Pat almost 5 years ago. I was $5 million top line revenue. Right now, I just broke $20 million top line revenue. So for the 100 grand or so I've spent over the last 5 years to make 15 million, dude, I'll do that all day. Because these guys, they might be innovators, but not business savvy. There's, doctors who are trying to scale their business, but they might not know the business. They might be good at what they do. So all these people, fitness people, real estate people, car people, tech people, crypto people, gym people, all these people, they're going to what I think is the Michael Jordan of business strategy, PBD, 2 Wall Street Journal bestsellers. And it's just what we're doing right now for 3 days, processing stuff. So long story short, the vault was awesome. And next year we're looking for a place that can house 10,000 people, because we're going to outgrow this place that only held 6,000, because we were sort of popping out of our seams. Like I'm kind of popping out of this jacket right now at a big lunch, but it was great, Benny.
I think you guys are going to make a lot of success stories. That's no doubt in my mind. And of course, listen, I think potentially what you're saying is whatever they paid is like they're going to a college course for 1 year and packed in 3 days, 4 days. I mean, that's the reality.
And I think I have it right here. This is, and listen, you're talking to a guy, and I'm not even going to be exaggerative. I've been to probably 500 to 1,000 conferences just in my day. Because my job at my company, my financial company, was, I'd be going to 20, 30 conferences a year. Boom, 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 boom. And those are the big ones. Then there's small meetings, what have you. And that's just in the financial industry. Then you have just, podcast type stuff, these types of events. The differentiator is, you see this was the Vault manual. And rather than talk and sell people stuff, this is what's so amazing. I feel like I'm doing an infomercial.
It's okay. It's all good.
You're filling out all your business numbers, and you're putting pen to paper that all is your inner business. And
basically, you help guide the peoples and how to really structure their numbers and how to get to the bottom line. I mean, when I did go on the AI, I got the AI white paper that you guys did. Yeah. I would have done it a little bit different, the AI white paper, honestly, because I know about the AI. We're in this space very strongly. But the AI, for an introductory AI, for people who don't know, it was excellent. It was basically convincing people, helping people overcome the fear of AI. And I think that was very good. That was very important for an average business person, because there's some sort of, what do you call it? Like, what's that movie with Schwarzenegger? Oh my God, tip of my tongue. Terminator. It was like it was like the Terminator.
Terminator, which one?
The Terminator with Total AI, and Terminator, even Total Recall. It was like the whole concept is this fear that the AI. But if you know anything about AI, it's predictive, right? There is no enough technology today that will house enough AI servers into one robot to really perform high-end AI that you're doing off a website in ChatGPT. You know how many servers you need for that website? You know how much power you need? The amount of power, it's literally more than a city, than a town. Close to 3 to 4x more in energy. So can you imagine putting the AI into that robot? It's impossible. Where are you going to get this energy? You have to put like a nuclear power plant a mini nuclear power plant within this robot to really have this energy and have this ability to create this predictive thinking or whatever it will be. I mean, again, it's only what you input it. That's how it can think. Benny, I don't believe AI will ever be sentient. Go ahead.
Benny, let me ask you, because you're sort of a maven. You know what a maven is?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
An expert at a bunch of different things.
Yes.
They say don't be a jack of all trades, be a specialist. But you're kind of a specialist at a bunch of different things. Number one, you're a rabbi. Number two, I mean, amazing beard. Let's just talk. But media, everything you're doing with iShook, crypto, AI. You're in the business entrepreneur world. How do you, maybe there's probably more to it, everything that you're doing that you were talking about
Yeah, we
earlier?
have a little real estate here and there too.
Real estate. How did you get so multifaceted and good at all these things?
So I will tell you something. Okay, that's a good question. I'm surprised that you give me this question, bro. So I will tell you the way I got there is, first of all, it's also a lot with Judaism. When you're learning Talmud, within one page of a Talmudic page that you're studying in Talmudic studies, you are literally reviewing dozens of topics into the back and forth discussion. That's number one. But now, not everything in the Talmud is applied to reality. Realistically speaking, the way I train my mind is, and I tell this to everybody, whether they do it or not, it's up to them, right? But I tell this to every entrepreneur: learn how to use InDesign, learn how to use Photoshop, learn how to use Illustrator. Okay, these are the products and Adobe products that create content, but the UI of these products are very vast. So if you learn the UI of these products, you will train your mind how to know many things within one product. So a lot of people say, "Oh, Benny, why don't you focus in one part of the business?" I'm like, "No, I'm focused on iShook. That's one part." But it's like saying, "Okay, I'm going to focus and be a specialist in InDesign." You can't be just a specialist in InDesign. You got to know how to use grep code. Grep code is code that lets you create. First of all, what is InDesign? InDesign is a platform that creates typography for books. Right, so you can do book layouts and page layouts, but by using a magazine layout. So the way they made that booklet that you gave most likely was done in InDesign or Photoshop or Illustrator, right? But in the UI, you need to know coding, a little bit of coding, because you want to make automations in your pictures and your text and so on and so forth. So it's literally training your brain to constantly digest information. But the key is, and it's very hard, it takes time, learning how to separate ideas. Like I always tell people, Israel has a right to fight back the war. War is bad. One has nothing to do with the other. If you start a war, expect there to be fighting back, right? It doesn't mean that it's bad that children are dying. It doesn't mean that maybe in the world to come, in the heavenly order, we're doing the wrong thing in the war. We're not behind the scenes making the decisions. Those who are making decisions might be punished for it by God's, wrath or the Almighty God, whatever you want to look at it. But you have to learn how to separate ideas, separate concepts. And again, it's also 20 years of constantly being interested to learn. I read about 1,000 pages a day. So let me give you another example.
You read 1,000 pages a day?
So it's 1,000 pages a day, whether it's books, writings, articles, or anything I need to know.
Really?
Yeah.
How many hours do you dedicate to that?
It doesn't take me long. I can do it in an hour a day almost.
1,000 pages? About
1,000 average pages a day. Yes.
Are you doing this on audio?
No, reading. I
You're
read really fast. No. I skim a lot. Listen, skimming is a lot. I comprehend. So let me tell you. So, okay. Wow. Comprehension is key in anything you do in life. You got to build your comprehension skills. I think that's the number one plague we are experiencing in America. We are not teaching our kids comprehension because TikTok, social media is fragmented information, not holistic information. If we had more holistic teaching or holistic information, we would not have this problem of comprehension. People cannot comprehend more than 2 seconds, more than 90 seconds or 30 seconds of information. And they think in those 30, 90 seconds, you're winning. But what about reading? Where's the reading? Where's the reading material, right? And don't forget, as a rabbi, I had to study thousands of books, right? It's not like, I just read one book. I mean, my position as a rabbi is a rabbinical judge. So I create rabbinical law. I present rabbinical law in certain situations. Like, for example, 60 years ago, rabbis didn't know what the law was for a refrigerator, because when you open the refrigerator on Sabbath, it turns on the mechanism. So are you allowed to open the refrigerator on Sabbath?
The light turns on. Let there be light in the refrigerator.
Yes. So light you can turn off, and you have many from GE where you have a Shabbos refrigerator. The lights turn off on timer. Sunset down. It's automatic. But when I open it and it turns on, rabbis came up. They wrote 10 pages, quoting hundreds of books of principles because they know thousands by heart, and they write a book. So it's about training your mind how to really learn ideas. And how can you not learn ideas? Think about it. You guys are in valuetainment, right? You show me your layout of the place. So PBD has to know something about real estate to understand what to buy and where to be at, correct or not? So you need those skills. You need skills that are They're number one skills that you need to know, and that's how you grow. But you have to grow and understand everything. That's the main thing. What peoples are doing is they're saying, "Oh, focus on one thing." I don't think you can focus on one thing as an entrepreneur anymore. My opinion.
Well, that's a great point, because if you go too wide, you don't go deep on something. So I have a buddy here at Pat's other company, Matt Sapali, goes by the Money Smart Guy. He goes, too wide, too deep, can't be beat, because we're going this way and going this way. Too wide, too deep. So Pat taught me that. He goes, listen, you can go. This is when I first started, and this is on content, but I'll bring it back to business. He goes, Adam, you know a lot of stuff. He's like, business, finance, money management, politics, sports, relationships, lifestyle, the scene, data, all these things. But how deep can you go on all these? And I was like, that's a good point. I can probably go pretty deep on this one. This one's a little more limited. So in the content game, I think it's important to understand that wide versus deep. But when it comes to business and business strategy, if you go too wide, you're a jack of all trades, master of none. If you go too deep and you have a very specific niche skill set, that's probably good for monetization and to making a name for yourself. But what happens if you have to pivot? What happens if AI takes over? What happens if it's sort of obsolete? What happens if the game changes and you're not keeping your head on a swivel? Only the paranoid survive. Future looks bright. Only the paranoid survive. Which one is it? Depending on the day. So at that point, what you're saying is, as an entrepreneur, you kind of have to have a little best of both worlds. Too wide, too deep can't be beat. But if you go too deep on one thing, and if you ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese, they move your cheese. You got to pivot. So fully agree with you that there needs to be a balance between the jack of all trades, the concept, knowing a lot of things, but also having a specialized skill set at something very specific. And I've been that exact same person. I started wide.
Right.
I went very riches are in the niches. I got into the very specific sector of financial wholesaling products, made some money, and then I started going wide again into business, into politics, into podcasting. But there is a balance there. But anyway, now I know how you.
But I think what the one thing that guy said is missing, right? If you train your mind well enough, you can go wide and deep at the same time. You could. But you also have to learn that sometimes in certain things you got to delegate.
Of course.
Right. So what's happening is, and this is why I tell everybody, you cannot be an entrepreneur and not know what your, I'm not going to say underlings, but your workers or your minions are doing. Like if you're going to go like, and a lot of CEOs don't, like I had one entrepreneur, one business person, I got him an architect, and he's like, oh, you should know, I paid this architect. I don't need to know how to read the plans. I'm like, what are you saying? I told him. How are you going to know if he's gypping you or not? How are you going to know? You need to learn how to read the plans. I mean, at least basic learning of how to read plans. Like it is your house, you're doing a building. I said, how are you in real estate and you don't know how to read plans?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
If you're in real estate.
Yeah, that's especially if you're really, but even if you're not in real estate, I mean, eventually you're going to build your home, you're going to do something,
What just happened?
Lost reconnecting. Right. Yeah, I'm there. Okay, yeah, we got we were frozen. We're back. We're back. A little glitch on
the outsourcing delegation gods. They didn't want us revealing our secrets.
I think we got to stop. We got to take the sides.
Exactly. So,
yeah, but either way, what I'm trying to say is basically simple. When you go wide and deep in business, you gotta learn how to. I tell it, Illustrator, InDesign, these are need to know things. Like if a person designs for you something, you have no comprehension what he's doing. How are you going to know whether he did it in time, whether he didn't do it in time, or how are you going to assess timetables? How are you going to assess, how will you assess issues? Like Like if you know you get like, let's say you like a company like this, you have 120 people, right? And you have a team that does, if let's say you have 10 people that are creating a booklet like that. With 10 people, I know that kind of booklet can be done with 10 people, literally in today's, technology of typography, Illustrator, all that stuff can be done in 10 days with 10 people. Shouldn't take longer. Shouldn't take any longer with 10 people. One person will take 30, 40 days. Okay, but 10 people working simultaneously, prepping it. I would tell people, you got 10 days to finish it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't take more than that.
You gotta give them a deadline.
Yeah, but you need to know the deadline because you need to understand the business. So as a leader, as a CEO, how are you not going to understand the business? Like even a king has to know how his government, or how his back then, in the old days, the king knew everything from A to Z, from the populace and all that. They need to know. They also have people reporting, but it was his job to know, to assess. Today, we don't have a good president that's really able to assess. That's already a different story because of his age issue. But, that's the reality. Like, you need that ability to have as a CEO, as an executive. And that's why you have limited CEOs, limited executives. You don't have everybody. Not everybody can be, like, for example, a rabbi, right? You have 6 million Jews. How many are rabbis, right?
More than 6 million.
No, 6 million in the United States, right? Okay. So I was like, right, 15 plus million. Okay, how many are rabbis and how many?
I did the count. Rabbis? It was closer to like 17. I counted every single one on the conference call.
Oh, really?
We do a conference call every.
Right, but you counting the ones who mothers are Jews, right? Whatever.
There's not many of us.
Right, there's not many of us, but even so, the percentage of how many are rabbis is very slim. That means not everybody's capable to be an entrepreneur. I don't expect everyone to be an entrepreneur or a CEO.
Oh, I fully agree with that. There's too many, what do they say? There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Right. What I could tell you is this: I'm not an entrepreneur. And you might say, well, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, what are you saying, bro?
Because you're doing all this business, you're helping grow companies, and I'll say I am. So what am I? I am a intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur is with an E. An intrapreneur is with an I. And I could probably even find this page in the book. The entrepreneur is the person that starts the company. They take on all the risk. They're paying the rent. They're paying the bills. They're the ones. Oh, look at this. I'm opening up the book. Look what we got here, baby. How you doing, guys?
That's Bashert, guys.
Here
that's awesome.
So but in this, and I'll even show it to you, it's important to identify who you are in the company. And what I realized is my skill set is being the intrapreneur. Here it is. Within running next to an entrepreneur. Because it's so funny we're having this conversation. You see this?
Well, I think it's reverse. It's a reverse. Yeah. Okay, you're good.
Okay, it says, what suits you best? I don't know if you could see it or if it's reverse, what have you.
But that's fine. We can read it.
This is an entrepreneur.
And the other side is
intrapreneur. An intrapreneur is the COO, the CFO, the CI, the C-suite, what have you. They also might be the sales or the biz dev part of it. So the success that I've had has not been because I came up with the concept. I came up with the company. I was sort of if you ever read the book, Barbarians, the Bureaucrats, the Prophet. Listen, we're going to start this company. We're going to do it. My skill set was like, oh, dude, I like what you guys are doing. Let me use my skill sets
to help you guys.
Networking, sales, biz dev, relationship building, revenue sourcing, all that to drive your business even higher. And then, yes, as a intrapreneur, you can get commissions or you can get equity, you can get stake into the company, all that. And a lot of people out there are thinking that they should be entrepreneurs when they just realize, you don't want to, maybe do the corporate lifestyle, whatever, but you still need to work for a company. And maybe you're the number 2, maybe you're the number 4, maybe you're the number 7. But Steve Ballmer is the best case. Steve Ballmer was not the CEO founder of Microsoft. He started as the number 7 employee, whatever the number was, worked his way up, eventually became the operating partner. Now he's richer than Bill Gates, and he bought the LA Clippers, which is crazy. He's one of the richest men in the world, $100 billion. but not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur and start the business. Find something that works for your skill set and latch on and run with it.
Well, basically they pick up the company. Basically, they started from X and then they pick up the company. So that's
just like Tim Cook.
Yeah.
Apple.
Yeah, but there's a lot of critique on him that he's not really doing what's the latest innovation that Apple has done. I mean, they missed the AI run. They literally missed the AI run. I mean, as a company, they for sure missed the AI run.
Apple did, right?
Yeah, Apple did. They had to make a deal with ChatGPT. ChatGPT really pushed the AI. They beat the whole thing. You know what I mean? They went on further.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up a call with you and Tim Cook. And I want you to break it to him, dude. You missed the boat here, buddy. You're $3 trillion company. You're done.
Right.
Just kidding.
But it's not. Listen, I don't know. Like I think some companies, like you said, wide and deep. Is he the mind that can go wide and go deep at the same time? I don't think so. I think what it is that Apple is a $3 trillion company, and there's a reason why they're the $3 trillion company, because they created innovation of communication and phones that no one else has, with also protections and all that is involved. And the privacy is very big in Apple, as opposed to, let's say, Android is also, but it's easy hacked if you have an Android phone. But in general, Apple did miss the AI front, and that's where you lose in adapting. You need to be able to adapt. The same thing with blockchain. These companies lost in blockchain too. They're losing in blockchain because they're not adapting blockchain. And only now Swift and all these companies are now adopting blockchain, and potentially the US dollar will come out with its own blockchain, the Federal Reserve. It will happen.
You think so?
I know so.
Would that be considered a central bank digital currency?
Yeah. It will.
CBDCs?
Yeah.
I hear a lot of mixed reviews on this. I hear a lot of people don't advocate for the central bank digital currency.
Well, think about it. I mean, let's think about this, okay? All these big companies, XRP, are being sued. Why is XRP being sued? Okay.
Is that Ripple?
That's Ripple. So Ripple has like 100 million, 200 million, whatever, even a minimum of 100 million. They have, reserves. They have, issued.
And they're, correct me if I'm wrong, they're being sued because they're marketing these products as securities. And
it was a whole securities issue. Yeah. And then they had a decision. Now they're back in the game. But what is the real intent of suing them? Because if Ripple goes to $20, and I say this to all the people, if Ripple goes to $20, that means it's going to be like a 2 trillion to even a 5 trillion potential valuation. Okay, so what is the current U.S. GDP?
Current U.S. GDP is $27 trillion.
So you're telling me they're going to be 1/10 of the U.S. GDP? You think America is going to let a private company become 1/10 yearly GDP value of transactions? You got to be crazy.
It could be.
That's how big any cryptocurrency can be. Shiba, Dogecoin. Shiba, I think, is in the trillions, right? Dogecoin. They're all in big numbers. They're all in big. And I tell these crypto people, stop doing the trillion numbers. You're asking for just hate. What are you doing? If you go to the trillion numbers, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say you're going to be a mini government, mini country? Do you see what's going on in Capitol Hill with Facebook and Instagram and all these other social medias, TikTok? The senators are already saying, you guys are considering yourself. You guys are like countries in itself. They're virtual countries. It's ridiculous. And they're not understanding these platforms are becoming a threat to governments and society. So of course you can't be a cryptocurrency. So then think about it. Okay, Coinbase, Gemini, okay, USDT, Tron. What are they doing? They're all creating their US dollar-backed token. Why are you doing a US dollar-backed token? What's the point? The point is very simple, because they want the US centralized government to maybe adopt their US dollar-backed blockchain token, as opposed to them creating it themselves. Swift already adopted Chainlink as the backing of as a blockchain for their US dollar, for the Swift transactions.
It's your wheelhouse here, dude.
Well, yeah, that's already. I'm 7 years in this game already.
I'm saying.
Yeah, like if you need any experts on crypto, you can call me. I mean,
oh, I know. That led me to my initial question for you. Was like, this guy's an expert at these specific things, and it's not just one or two things.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
You've gone wide and deep.
Wide and deep, and it can't be beat, bro. Yeah, that's the biggest hurdle that we have. That's the biggest hurdle as a country with regards to.
What happened, Benny?
Is like, oh, Trump decided to do crypto
again.
Yeah, that's fine. But we're back. See, now we're talking about very hot topics. You know, every time we talk about something hot,
they don't want this album to come out like it's 50 cents.
But you see what happened. Trump goes in, buys Bitcoin for pizzas for everybody. He creates his own Trump exchange and token, right? The kids. And all of a sudden, Kamala's like, yeah, I'm in crypto too, you know.
Yeah, of course. Whatever he
does.
I'll tell you. It's fine.
All of a sudden, she'll shoot anybody who comes to her house. No problem.
Yeah, she's a gun owner.
She's a gun owner. She's gun rights. Yeah.
So what's your thoughts? What's going on with this election? Are we going to get into politics? What are we going to do right now?
I don't know. Whatever you want. I mean, honestly.
I'm on iShook TV right now, so whatever you want to cover. But
listen, the reality is I spoke about this yesterday. Kamala, I think she was the most genuine self in Oprah when she spoke about the gun.
Yeah.
And honestly, if she was genuine like that in every place she went, I think she could beat Trump. If the key word is if. Mm-hmm. Problem is, she's not going to do it because they're muzzling her. They're preventing her from really being. Listen, you can't pass a bar without being smart. I'll let you know, like honestly,
that's true.
You have to have some intelligence, and I think she has intelligence, but she just doesn't know how to deliver her intelligence. And what's happening is, especially when you have too many people telling you do this, do that, you know, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, there's a lot that I can say on Kamala. I don't know if anybody is saying that she's not smart. Maybe Trump's saying it, but right. There's levels to smart.
That's true.
So, you know, when I did pretty good in school, right? Good enough where I was a public school kid my whole life, and I got athletic sports scholarship, academic scholarship to a very elite private school, high school down here in Miami called Miami Country Day. It was an amazing experience. It was awesome. But then they said, you know, you got to do some testing placement to see where you fall in to your classmates. And basically what it came down to is like I had pretty high scores, but they're like, listen, you could be in AP, you could be in honors, and some stuff you could be in regular. You kind of got to just, you know, you're smart, but you're not AP smart, but you're too smart for regular. Like that's like that. So you kind of got to figure out where you're going to be. And what I realized was this: in the regular class, I was the genius. People were cheating off me. But in the AP class, you know, the extra honors class, dude, I was not the smartest guy in the room. Okay. What's my point? I don't think Kamala's an idiot. I think if she was in the regular classes, she'd be the star student, just like me. Then you get to a different level. All right. So you passed the bar. All right. I know plenty of friends that have passed the bar. Or you made it to senator. All right. You know, attorney general. Okay. The Willie Brown thing, whatever. Don't care. All right. I know a lot of senators that aren't exactly, or congressmen that aren't exactly the brightest bulbs. I mean, if you look at congressional approval ratings, I mean, 90+% of Americans think these guys are absolute morons. That's a whole nother conversation. But everything you do, there's another level. You're telling me that she is smart enough to negotiate on America's behalf with some of the most ruthless, downright, just vicious people out there in the world, negotiating with Putin, negotiating with Xi, negotiating with Netanyahu, negotiating with Hamas, negotiating just in the EU itself, with Mexico, with like, we're about to find out if Kamala is really equipped or not to be able to do that. Is she smart enough to pass the bar and become a? Yeah, sure. Great job. President of the United States. Now, someone might say, yeah, well, Trump's an idiot. He's not smart. All right. Good luck out there getting into the New York real estate game and becoming the number one guy in New York. Good luck building a corporation to become a billionaire that your name is synonymous with high-end luxury brands all over the world. Yeah, any idiot could do that. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and become the number one show on NBC for a decade, The Apprentice. Yeah, go ahead. Go do that. Go ahead and become the president of the United States. And then for the last 8 years, become runner-up or maybe the winner again. So I get it why a lot of people maybe not are fans of Trump. I get it. I go back and forth on him. But now, where I'm at these days is I'm at like a neutral place where I can sort of be a referee or an umpire. And I could say, oh, he did a good job here. I'll give him that. Nah, that was eating the dogs and eating the cats. Trump, really? Is that what
I did a podcast about that.
Is that what we're doing right now?
Tucker Carlson said that PETA should be the most happiest that they had a president endorsing against animal cruelty. Where are they? They took out Rubashkin, by the way, because of illegal immigrants that he hired, right?
Who's this, Rubashkin?
Rubashkin was a person that Trump pardoned.
Okay.
And Rubashkin owned the largest kosher kill slaughterhouse somewhere in Ohio or in that area.
Okay.
PETA used to go in and show animal cruelty, and they never used to be able to get him on animal cruelty. This was in the late 2007, 8, 9, around that time, 5 to 9. And then what did they get him on? Hiring illegal immigrants. And now they're letting millions of them in. So what I'm trying to say in this is, where's PETA? And Tucker Carlson said, where's PETA? You have a first president endorsing animal rights, and they're not to be found.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the pets.
They're eating the pets, man.
Yeah. He's a marketer, but anyway, we're gonna see what happens with Kamala. But look, I don't say this with joy. I know that that's her whole thing. It's a strategy of joy. It's a joy campaign. She could beat Trump. Well, she might be our first female president, our first African-American female woman, gender, whatever, president. I don't know.
I mean, I know they are saying that even the CNN is showing that the toss-up states are going to go to Trump potentially, most likely.
Depends where. Is it the blue wall up there? Is it the Sun Belt states? Is it Atlanta?
They're saying like the Wisconsin.
Is it Georgia? Is it Nevada? Is it
okay. We don't know. I mean, they're working hard. I mean, whoever it's going to be, it's going to be. We can't change the reality.
Look at you doing the whole, it is what it is.
It is.
We don't have control. There is an element of stoicism and faith, and it is what it is. And
do you know the majority of New York is Republican in voting? If you look at the states, the only way it's Bronx and New York City that over trumps the New York. That's really where we lose. Is Bronx and New York City. Upstate New York, my district in Queens is all Republican.
Benny, you know what other state is just like that?
Which one?
Every other state.
What a
I'm telling you. Pennsylvania.
That's actually true, by the way.
Most states Pennsylvania is mostly red, except for Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. So
it's really the cities are deciding for the country. That's the other argument, right? The city folk are deciding for the rural folk, who should be their president.
Benny, now you're walking straight into my alley right here. Here we go. So there's 3 different types of segments of society. There's cities and the urbans. There's the suburbs where you live, suburbs. You're not in the city, right?
Right. Well, Queens, I don't know if it's because they're suburbs, right?
Yeah, but you're not in the high rise. You're not in
No, I'm not in a high rise. No, for sure.
You're in a family friendly environment. You're the suburbs, probably close to a city. How far are you from downtown Queens?
Yeah, pretty far. 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Okay, you're in the suburbs. So you got the urban, you got the suburban,
right?
But then you got the rural. and everybody forgets about the rule. And the reason you forget about the rule is because most people don't live near the rule. This is what you call flyover country, or, where you're getting, upstate New York, whatever you want to call it. And the reality is, pretty much in every major city across the country, pick a major city in every state, that city votes blue in the presidential election. I'm talking presidential elections.
Right.
So if you go to Mississippi, it's a red state. What's the capital of Mississippi? Jackson? Biloxi? I don't even know. They vote blue. If you go to
Texas, for example.
Texas, perfect. Red state, huge state, biggest state in the union other than California, Alaska. You got Texas. Boom. All the big cities, Dallas, Austin for sure, San Antonio, Houston, all the big cities vote blue. But everything else is red. Even in Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, these bigger cities, they're going to vote blue. The rest of the state, the whole panhandle, Tampa, everything. So what's my point is that, in one city, how many people live in New York City? 10 million? Well, how many people?
No, more. You have more. Oh, the city itself, Manhattan itself.
How many people live in New York City?
Well, if you take with the tri-state area, it's more than 15, I believe.
Okay, so let's just say it's 10 million people in New York City
right now.
How many people in New York State?
How many people live in New York City?
I'm guessing somewhere around 9-10 million.
Let's check this out. Googled it right now. 8.3 million.
Okay, I rounded up.
But that's 2022, yeah.
Yeah, but with all the illegals, it might be double that at this point. But, so what's my point? New York City, when you compare New York City dip to New York State, it's just a little small part. But you have almost 10 million people there. Now, Google New York State population. It's probably
19.68 million.
20 million. Okay, yeah. So it's how much?
About close to 20 million. It's 19.68.
Almost half the people that live in the entire state of New York are in this one little city right here. So that's why one little blue dot
kills everyone. Right.
Doesn't matter what 500 people are doing in Massapequa, New York, because that's all rural.
Right.
You have one house on an acre there, 10 acres.
And we're not forgetting one thing. We're forgetting one thing. Not all 19.68 million are voting. What's the voter turnout? It's like 1/3 of the country, right? It's not a full 50%. That's for sure.
80 and
70, 80 and
yeah, so maybe less than half. Yeah,
less than half.
And then you get into if you're under 18, you can't vote. But yeah, voter turnout, 60%, something like that.
Yeah, so you're losing already, population wise. You're losing more than 50%. I mean, that's for sure, in voting.
The bottom line is, don't expect New York State to go to Trump despite massive rallies.
Right. Well, maybe you never know.
Long Island or wherever it is, Staten Island.
I mean, you're hearing a lot of TikToks where saying, "Are you voting for Trump? Are you voting?" Yeah. Well, Kamala, who? Trump? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. If TikTok said it, it has.
That's it. It's gotta be.
No one has more credibility.
Hands up, bro. Hands up.
Than TikTok and the ByteDance and the CCP. Nobody.
You mentioned about Kamala and Trump. You know what? I always tell this to my wife. I'm like, you might have a master's, because I don't have a master's degree, right? I don't have a bachelor's. I have a rabbinical degree. I said, you might have a master's degree.
That's better.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem, right? So I say, you might have a master's degree, but you're not a master of life like I am. So I would say this about Trump. It's not.
And you say this to your wife?
Yeah, because
I'm sure that she really appreciates that comment.
Yeah, well, listen, when you're in a heated argument and she's like, I'm a master's degree. I'm like, you're not a master. You have arguments when you're married, right? So you say things to.
I look forward to that.
Listen, if you're not fighting as a couple, you're not a couple. There's something wrong with you.
You need to be fighting.
You need to be fighting. You need to have discourse. You need to have arguments. You need to have discussions.
Why? So when you fight, then you can do the makeup and then
Well, that's the other part. But you should know one thing: if you're not arguing, even in business, I tell people, if you're not arguing in business, how are you going to hash out the truth of what needs to really be done?
Well said.
You need that blood to go through. You need to say, no, you're wrong. No, this is the way to do it. You need to be you need to have conviction of your idea in order to present it to people. And they have to have the conviction either to bring their idea or to debunk your idea.
100%.
That's
You're
called,
absolutely right.
That's called in Hebrew shaka v'tarya. Basically, that's called pilpul. You gotta hash out information. That's how you do it.
What's the word in Hebrew?
Pilpul or shaka v'tarya. One of the two.
Pilpul.
Yeah, pilpulim.
Pilpuling. I like this.
Yeah, if you're not doing a pilpul, you're out.
If you ain't pilpulling, you gotta go.
You gotta go because that's how you determine fact and ideas. That's how it's a logical formula. You go back and forth. No, but you can't do this because then you're going to contradict yourself there. No, you can't do this because you're going to negate that here. You got to be able to be calculative enough to know how to do things and be predictive. That's why it's so important. By the way, that's another reason why ChatGPT and all these AIs are so important, because they can do the predictions for you where you save time. So, like, for example, there's many Jewish databases that exist, but if you don't know the books and know how to search and know the terms and ideas, that database is meaningless to you. You won't be able to use it. But a person like me who knows how to search and knows what to find and knows the topics, I can find and use those databases to see thousands of books of the same topic that I'm looking for. And then I can write a whole write-up for you based on all the things I've seen and put it together in like a weaving format. That's the beauty of it. And they do this right now in technology. Like you have companies like Lexicon, Case Text. These are platforms that are used for lawyers and attorneys where you can find case law. And then they have these features where the case law is now also telling you this case law has been quoted to 100 other case laws, which is called hyperlinking. So they have this hyperlinking feature. This is technology that's unbelievable. And if you play with ChatGPT enough, it can get you those results too. But
I learned something that I'm going to use when I do settle down and get married like you and start to have kids.
You got a pill pull.
Well, the pill pull for sure. But I'm going to use the line, my future wife, I say, listen, honey, you might have a master's degree, but I'm a master of life. Master of the universe, like He-Man.
No, don't say that. That's already above ego levels. You're going to lose the game.
No, I said like He-Man. You remember He-Man?
Okay, yeah, but He-Man, he had the magic powers. You got the magic power? I don't know.
By the power of Grayskull. That's what it says.
Yeah,
you have the power of Graybeard. That's it.
That's more Lord of the Rings level. So what I was trying to say is, so what I was saying is Trump how many people can say they built a skyscraper in New York City from nothing? Can Kamala say it? No. She has a degree in law. She understands the law. She has some sort of understanding to it. I never saw her skill sets as a lawyer, but she has some. She needs to have some sort of skill sets.
Her oral arguments were the best.
Okay. You got to be careful. This is a family show.
I know. When she would
go. All right. As long as we keep it family.
Listen, Benny, people are saying that Kamala, she was great speaker, great oral, great argument.
Great arguments, great. I'm not going to say more.
Pill pull, Kamala, everyone knows.
She knew how to pill pull in court. So, so the reality is that for me as a person, I look at what you've achieved in life. Like, I want a person who, like, I even had a podcast. I said, even Obama did pretty good things in his term, right? He deported the majority amount of immigrants to keep the community safer. He understood the tension that you can put into low-class communities with these high immigration, whatever it was. He understood that. He understood civics very well. What I feel now is that the communities just don't care about the civics. They just don't care about this tension you're creating in all these towns and communities. They just don't care. And I think that's where the disconnect is. And I think that's ultimately why Trump will win. Besides the fact that they made him a hero by being attempt assassinations at least twice. Yeah, and I'm probably thinking they're going to be a third. Who knows? I don't know.
So,
by the way, in your show, in Patrick with David, in your show, you guys said there's going to be a second one.
Yeah, Pat sort of predicted that, and it's crazy what's going on there. But
when it happened, I said, like, damn, he's right. Damn, how did he know, bro? I'm like, damn, he knew. That's a good point. Anyway,
but it sounded like you kind of like some of the stuff Obama did. What are your thoughts on Obama?
He's the most intelligent president we had, I think, in the past 15 years. Second to Clinton. I think he understood things better than most people. His comprehension level was enormously strong. His ideology, I'm here and there with it, right? I didn't vote for him, right? I wanted to vote for him.
For Obama.
I wasn't a citizen I didn't like Mitt Romney as much as McCain. I liked more. Mitt Romney, I think he was a little bit, flaky. He was a bit flaky for me. He was very weak-minded compared to Obama. And Obama did give, and people are forgetting this, he did sign a bill that gave Israel $33 billion worth of money for the next 10 years.
Did?
Yeah, you can
this
Google
is
that.
Part of the Iran nuclear deal?
Yeah. So whatever it is, he did give Israel money. Did he snub Netanyahu? Yeah. Is Netanyahu 100? I don't think Netanyahu is 100. Again, Netanyahu is not for me. He's not a God-fearing individual like other leaders within the Knesset.
You don't think Bibi?
Well, he's not Orthodox, in my opinion. He's not Orthodox religious wise, Like by the way, I said this in other podcasts. People don't realize what happened on October 7th. People say, oh, Netanyahu is fighting his court cases and all that. But there's two things that happened because of October 7th that people are not even discussing at all ever. Number one, there is no discussion anymore about the Supreme Court changing anymore.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
I was there July of 2023 and I saw protests. I was like, what is going on here?
Right.
And that's what they were protesting.
And guess what? October 7th happens and there's no more change of the Supreme Court. Number two.
Yep.
There was, when the biggest chief rabbi of the Sephardic community died in 2013, his name is Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. All right. He went against Netanyahu. He said, he got upset at Netanyahu. He said, I don't understand why you're forcing religious Jews who are Orthodox learning in yeshiva to go to the army.
Yep.
So he said, I have no problem if you want to take a select few to go to the army, but make the army a yeshiva army. Let them learn half the day. Let them do drills half the day.
Mm-hmm.
There was discussions about that type of style of an army. Said, no, they're going to go mix with the girls. They're going to go this. They're going to go that. People don't know that in Israeli culture, the majority of Jews are going back to the faith of Judaism. They're being more religious. There's already projections showing in the next 10 years, the majority of the population will be religious, not secular. With that being said, there's a fear. There's a fear in this thing. So people also don't know the news before October 7th, that in Tel Aviv, most people took off work on Yom Kippur on Tel Aviv, which was very rare. Tel Aviv, not to be active, people were so pissed off. To such an extent, on Yom Kippur, a woman went topless in a synagogue on Yom Kippur. This is a week before October 7th. Wow. Like, if you want the wrath of God falling upon Israel, do that nonsense, right? So my opinion is, you're always talking about Shmodritz, Netanyahu, and Ben Gvir. All Shmodritz and Ben Gvir said, we should have the right to have guns in our pockets and protect ourselves. It's like, why should you have no gun rights? All of a sudden, Israel has no gun rights. Europe has no gun rights. America is the only country that the majority of the Americans have guns, right? But if you live in New York City, you can't own a gun. I mean, like, you have to have, like, hurdle after hurdle just to get a gun, bro. It's crazy in New York City. All right. And like right now, if I want to get a gun, my wife has to sign off on the gun. My wife said, I'm not signing off on a gun. Are you crazy? I'm like, okay, I can't get a gun. And honestly, I'll just hire security. What are you going to do? Right. But you can't get a gun. So what ends up happening? How do we know? And by the way, there's reports from Israeli soldiers that the higher ups told them on October 7th not to go and fight for the people there.
Really?
Yeah, you got to look at Israeli news. People are not really watching Israeli news. So what's happening is, who's to say? And by the way, there were 3 companies managing the fences and the security of the fences.
Private
3 companies. Before October 7th, there was only one more left. And they're saying who was in charge of that one more fence. So, some reports I got videos of some reports. They said that what's his name? Ehud Olmert was a board member of that one censor. And they're saying he was
prime minister.
The former prime minister went to jail. And they said on October 7th, he took a liquor in the duty free. He was trying to fly out of Israel. Anyway, just people don't know all this stuff. Now, who's to say it's not the liberal Jews that let it happen? Do you know the film festival, and this is, everybody knows this, the festival of the Nova Festival, the day before, they changed the location to where the Nova Festival was. It was supposed to be in a completely different location. The day before, like 2 days, 3 days, they notified, we're changing the location to this location. What the heck happened there?
So let me ask you, because I
believe it's liberal Jews potentially. I think it's the liberal secular Jews that wanted this to happen to stop the Supreme Court from being changed. And understand, people have to understand in Israel, the Supreme Court is not elected by any members of the community, any Knesset member. There's no voting for the Supreme Courts. The Supreme Court judges themselves pick the next Supreme Court judge. Mm-hmm. And there's rumors, they're all family members. Side point. Go ahead.
But so correct, I'm gonna go with you on this one. So I remember being with here in the studio, and we had Charlie Kirk on with us.
Yeah, okay.
Charlie Kirk, I mean, he's only 30 years old. I was like, dude, you're only 30. So smart, so intelligent. Pisses a lot of people off. You see what he does. He goes on college campuses.
Yeah, but he's very smart.
Sits
very
there.
Yeah.
You know, and these sort of like woke elite university kids try to, wrestle with Hulk Hogan, basically, the political Hulk Hogan, and they just get arm barred and they leave. But I remember here on the podcast, he goes, I want to know if there was a stand down order. Was there a stand down order? Who called it in? Did it happen? I want to know what's going on. And the media went insane. Charlie Kirk, he's
no, he's right. There was some sort of
rumors. He's anti-Zionist, whatever. And I said, listen,
there was a stand down order to many soldiers.
So that's what I want to ask you is, I said, Charlie, I don't know, dude. I said, I don't live in Israel. I visited a few times. I have family there, friends there. Seems, for a stand down order to happen, a lot of people would have to be keeping a lot of secrets. So are you saying that you're of the philosophy that there might have been some sort of stand down order implemented?
No, I'm saying there's soldiers who wanted to go down south, and they're I guess they're, how do you say, they're people above them said, no, you're not going, you're staying here. And then there were many, but again, think about it. We had heroes. We had a woman officer went down, saved hundreds of people, and killed many terrorists. She was, praised as a hero, right? You had other soldiers who ran there, and it was when Netanyahu was there. I don't think that the head like Netanyahu knew what was going on. You got to say it was also a Jewish holiday, Simchat Torah. A lot of soldiers took off, right? But how we not think about how is the military not prepared? And there had to be some sort of stand down order. I mean, I think it was. Was it deliberate? Was it not deliberate? It could be a different issue. It could be tomorrow comes out, no, the stand order was because of A, B, C, which is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that it's unreal to see and to say, oh, because Netanyahu has a court case. Like the liberals are saying Netanyahu has a court case. It's about his political career. It could be. But look at the other side of the coin. There's no more change of the Supreme Court. There's now, they now passed a law to force, and they say this part, to force religious boys to go to the army for the 2 years, and girls also, right? Without a setting of being Orthodox settings, right? Because you do have people who are kippah sruga, they do go to the army, but these are Haredi Jews who don't want to go to the army, right? Because they believe it's a little bit complicated or whatever it is. And then, religious wise, it affects their religious spirituality. That's what they say. And then they also cut down all the financing to all these schools, all these study programs. So for you, people have to understand there's other factors that this October 7th internally, like you said, entrepreneur, that entrepreneurially affected the whole structure of Israeli government, in general. And that's a huge thing. Like, remember, for a year, 2 years, we're changing the Supreme Court. It was a big thing in the news. And I think they should have changed the Supreme Court. What kind of Supreme Court is not elected by the people or nominated by the Knesset member?
Well, that's the whole thing here, right? Is that you need to be nominated, and then you need to be by Congress, the Senate. But let me ask you. So you're saying that Israel, whether it was pre-October 7th or post, it was trending back in the direction of being less secular, more religious.
Peoples are becoming more religious. Yes.
Okay. So, in the religious community, the Orthodox, Shomer Shamas, the Haredim, whatever terminology you want to do, these people are having not one kid, not two kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, 7 kids, 8 kids. I mean, they're having kids.
Yeah.
They're doing it. The secular, unless they're going for the gusto, they got 1, 2 kids. That's kind of what their thing is.
And a dog or a cat that they're not eating. It's not kosher.
Can't eat the dog. Maybe.
I don't know if they follow kosher or not.
Maybe they're having no kids, and then they're just raising a couple of pets, a cat, and a dog, and that's a whole other situation that some of the ladies are dealing with. But here's my point. If you said, how many Jews live in Israel? 8 million? Give or take?
About. They say 6, 7 million. Another 2 million.
What percentage do you think are more religious versus more secular?
Right now, that's going up to 50%.
Okay, so here we go.
Now, but again, religion, just to clarify to the viewers, right? Religion is segmented. We have many sects within Judaism. You have Sephardic Orthodox, you have Haredi Orthodox, you have Modern Orthodox, you have Ashkenaz or different groups. Then you have the Satmar, and then you have the Babov, you have the Bells, you have different denominations within the Orthodox. You have the Kippah Sruga, you have the Mesorti, the traditional. So how do we're basically putting them all into that percentage, right?
Guys, just in case you thought Rabbi Benny didn't know all the sects, he got it all right there. Every single form, sector, Me, I'm just thinking, Orthodox, conservative, reform, and then
there's a lot more.
There's a lot more. I get it. Shomer Shabbos. Big Lebowski. If the secular is growing at this amount, but the Orthodox community is here, and they don't want their kids to serve in the army, at some point, the dam is going to break.
Right. No, they don't mind. They don't.
Are these people not going to serve in the army? What's the argument here?
No. So the argument is we'll serve in the army, right? Like, let's say a majority will serve in the army, right? But in an army that's structured to be more religious, where you can learn during the day, study how, and the women and the women and the men are separated, that they're not in the same camp area. Because listen, Jewish culture, and you have to understand, in religious culture, men and women don't cohabitate or have coitus before they get married, like in the kosher way of saying it.
I've heard,
right? So, like, I personally, my wife is my first person; she'll be the last. And the reality, and Baruch
Hashem, you're
Baruch Hashem. I mean, that's the reality. And listen, I'm almost 20 years married. So, what does it tell? Thank you. So, what does that tell you? That tells you what? That tells you that the culture is very different. We don't, and the secular cultures, they are part of this promiscuity style and lifestyle. So you understand, you have many Jewish peoples in the communities in Israel that have different pockets of cultural lifestyles. And if you want them to go to the army, you got to accommodate them to be in the army. And that's where but the seculars don't want that. The secular community wants the Orthodox community to be secular. They are against Judaism. And if you see many Knesset members, again, it's in Hebrew, but many Knesset members says, it's a shame that we're not teaching in public schools our lineage of Judaism, but we're teaching Muslim and Islam. We're teaching the Quran there. They teach in public school the Quran, but they don't teach the Talmud in public schools in Israel.
In Israel?
In Israel.
What
You didn't know this?
What shagas is this?
Well, listen, Islamic Shagash, you have people who are Islamics, Islamists, not Islamists, that's the wrong word, who are Muslim, who are Muslim, who are Arab,
There's
indigenous
2 million
people.
of them.
There's about 2 million plus, right? So they are going to the schools, and they're also going to want to study their Quran and their information. But where's the Judaica teachings in the public schools? They don't teach the Talmud in the schools in Israel. And that's the disconnect that you have between Israelis and Arabs in the community there, and the Knesset itself. You have this push of secularism, and now even the rabbinate of Israel, they are pushing. So marriage in Israel is run by the Orthodox community. Marriage, kosher, supervision, conversion. It's run by an arm of the government called the Rabbinate of Israel. The conservative and reform communities want to take it over. They're saying, why don't you have a chief woman rabbi, right? Why don't you have conversions by our rabbinical structure? Because the problem is, if you go by your rabbinical structure, guess what will happen? The whole world is going to be Jewish. And then you're not going to have an Israeli state or a Jewish state. And you have to understand, the whole purpose is to have a Jewish state. I don't care what anyone says. Israel's purpose and the purpose of building Israel is to have a Jewish state. And unfortunately, the jihadist purpose is to eradicate the Jewish state, which is Israel. That's just fact. Do you have an ideology of Zionism? Yes, you have this ideology of Zionism. Should you believe it or not? That's up to you. You don't have to believe it or not, but it's there. You know what I mean? You can critique it like any other government, but it seems to be disproportionate, quoting Piers Morgan, that the critique of Israel is much larger than any other government or country when it comes to war. That's my point.
I appreciate it. I think, the whole concept of Zionism. Someone said, I saw this video, and he said, "What are you talking Zionism? What are you talking about?" He kind of has one of those
Israeli.
Why do you still talk about the Zionism? It's done. They have the country. It's there. I've been there. I live there. The whole movement to have the country.
It's
done. We have the country. What are you talking about? He kind of was basically sort of clowning. Is like, I understand the whole concept of Zionism, but it's done. Everything Theodore Herzl and everything the guys that were trying to do, they did it. So now I'm starting to hear comments like, "Man, you're just one of those Zios." I said, "What is that term?" "Yeah, it's like a slang for Zionist." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so. I don't know." But Jews, so here's another question. Anti-Semitic. What does that mean? Anti-Semitic. Semitic people are anyone that's Middle Eastern? What is Semitic? So these terms, these buzzwords that gets thrown out there, you're a Zionist, you're anti-Zionist, you're Semitic, you're anti-Semitic. It's a little confusing, and it kind of gets.
I think it's wrong. First of all, what does Jewish mean? You know what Jewish means? What does the word Jewish come from? The word itself.
From the root word Jew.
Yeah. So okay, and where does the word Zion come from? Zion, right? What is
Mount Zion, which is mentioned in the Torah.
Right, Har Zion, and okay, so Zion is just another name for the Temple Mount, which is Zion.
Zion.
Tzion is the real Hebrew word, which is just another word in the Tanakh, our Jewish Torah and prophets and writings, for Jerusalem. It was called Zion. Jew is Judea.
Yehudi, is that
Yehudi?
Jew?
What does Yehudi mean? Yeah. What does Yehudi mean? Yehudi means that we come from the tribe of Judah.
Yeah.
We don't have the other tribes anymore. We have only Judah and Benjamin. So what does Judea mean? It means the tribe of Judah. When
Judea, Yehudim, Jew.
Yeah, all they're doing is attacking one tribe, all right, which is Judah. Why didn't they call the land of Israel when we came back Judea again? Because the idea is we want hopefully one day the 12 tribes to come back. So the Ethiopian Jews were considered one of the 12 tribes. They claimed that they were from the tribe of Dan, D-A-N. So, or maybe another tribe. I mean, there's debate about it. Okay. So with that being said, they said the state of Israel. So it's not really you're anti-Semitic. You can't be anti-Semitic in the Middle East. That means you're anti-everybody living in the Middle East.
Right.
It's you're anti-Jewish. That's the bottom line. You just want the tribe of Judah to be eradicated from this world. And the tribe of Judah was the warrior tribe of all the 12 tribes of Jacob. We were the warriors. We were the kings came out of the tribe of Judah. That's why in Christianity, they try to peg Jesus to be one of the descendants of King David from the tribe of Judah, right? They try to peg it. Whether it's true or not is already go figure. We don't know. I don't know if you can ever know because we don't know ourselves how they're going to know about what happened 2,000 years ago. So in that perspective itself, what's going on? That's where people are getting the misnomer of what, listen, guys, you're anti-Jewish, bottom line. Do you want there to be a Jewish state? Yes or no? And I'm telling you right now, all the people who believe in jihad, extreme jihadi, right? They don't want a Jewish state, bottom line.
Yeah, of course.
That's the bottom line. This is a religious issue. This is not a Western versus or Middle Eastern issue. This is a Jewish, Judaica versus jihad Islam issue. This is what it ultimately is. Because in the Quran, it clearly says the Jews are entitled to the land of Israel, including the Mount Zion, which is where the Temple Mount is. It clearly says that in the Quran. You can't debate the Quran. Why is anyone saying? The Quran says it's our land. So why are you saying river to the sea when your own religion says and your own doctrine says it's our land? So what's going on here, right? So you have some professors, they want to say that the Palestinians are originally Jews. And I ask everybody a big ultimate question. I'm going to ask you this, Adam. If today 10 million people come from some mountainous area, right? We don't know. They just appear. And they're all American Indians. And they say, you're on our occupied land. Would the United States give them back, let's say, Midwest, where the Iroquois nation was, North England and all that, or the Cherokee? Will we give back them all their land? Do we give back all the land to these Iroquois, all these American nations, American tribes? No, we give them small pockets.
We give them reservations or casinos.
There you go. We gave reservation or casino. So I ask you, do they have the right to ask for their land back?
Who?
The American Indians. If right now 10 million come about from some way, they say, listen, we've been trapped in this cave. We have a whole city here. We established ourselves. We're back in the surface world. I don't know. Some sort of I know it's a hypothetical.
Yeah, of course.
But if they would come back, do we have to give them Texas back? Do we have to give them their lands back?
Well, they could ask for whatever they want. But that doesn't mean you're going to give it to them.
Okay.
They can ask nicely or they can ask aggressively, and this is where land disputes
are happening.
Are going to happen.
So where are all the protests for the American Indians that you people who are supporting terrorists, not Palestinians, support the Palestinian, support their victimization of what they are, because they are truly victims in both sides, right? They're victims of the war and they're victims of the terrorist organizations, right? That took over their livelihoods and their lives in general. They hijacked their lives. Put that aside, right? Would you say that they should have their land back? Because you're definitely saying we're occupying Israel, because they're not saying we're occupying Gaza. They're saying we're occupying all Israel. They're saying all the lands of Israel are theirs. Like they have some indigenous, connection to the land. That's the biggest problem.
Which is patently false. I mean,
and it's evident, by the way, with Hezbollah. What does Hezbollah have to do with all this? Where did you guys come from? It's like the Giants are playing the Jets, and all of a sudden, what's another team? All of a sudden,
call it the Beirut Bombers show up.
All of a sudden, they show up, whatever it is, and they're starting to play a third player. What the heck are you guys doing? This is exactly what's happening here, and that's the evidence that it's all about a religious jihad against. Not Semites, against Jews. That's the fact. Yeah, cool. We got to call it what it is. That's reality. That's mastering life, right? That's the reality 101 of what people are missing. You can have a doctorate degree or a PhD as a historian, but like live the life. That's what people are promoting: jihad and annihilation of Jews.
Well, the thing that is so concerning as an American, right, is I mean, listen, if you weren't aware of what Islamic extremism looked like or jihadism looked like, you found out in a rude awakening on September 11, 2001.
No
You
doubt.
found out what it looked like. Okay, cool. But what we didn't anticipate 20 years ago, 25 years ago, was that we knew that the far right extremists, Islamists, jihadists, we knew these people had these beliefs. What we did not anticipate was the far left progressive wing of, call it the Democratic Party in America, would be sympathetic to their cause. And, there was a famous article that came out that I always talk about how these strange bedfellows, how the Islamist extremists have basically hijacked the progressive woke movement all across the West.
Right.
Right. So you have cities like LA, New York, elite universities, Columbia, Emory, Berkeley, and then you do it in London, you do it in Paris, you do it in all these cities, Australia. All these elite universities have been hijacked by Islamism, and they found that the common denominator, this is interesting, came from Marxism, because after the fall of the Soviet Union in the early 90s, and even a precursor to that was 1979, when in Iran, after the Shah fell, and they brought in Khomeini, that Pat always says it's Khomeini, like I said, oh, my bad, I forgot the
He's making fun of him. He's making fun of him. Okay.
They kicked out the Shah, supplanted the government with the theocratic ayatollahs, but there was also in conjunction with what was called the Tudeh Party in Iran, which was basically like the Bernie Sanders of Iran.
Right.
So it'd be like the hardcore Bernie Sanders woke left liberal teaming up in America today with the most far right evangelical preacher, the devil is coming to get you, and them being on the same team. That makes no sense. It's like Bernie Sanders, I think, publicly said he doesn't necessarily believe in God, he believes in the universe. So that is what this strange bedfellows of Islamists and Marxists, it's the horseshoe theory. I think we discussed this. When you think of politics as being linear, that the far right and the far left don't intersect whatsoever, but the horseshoe theory shows that they're basically a lot closer in design than you would previously think. But it's super weird, and we knew what was going on with the jihadists. We just had no clue that the woke lesbian girl whose main concern is abortion,
all of a sudden are pairing
all
up.
Of a sudden, she's Gays for Gaza Brigade, and she's
so
out there.
I'm gonna give you a pill pull, right? Because we're close to the end, right? I'm gonna give you a pill pull. In my mind, I say as follows: jihad is Islamists, woke person. Joining forces together is a negation. It's a contradiction.
It's a contradiction.
Unless they hate Jews, and that's the reality. That's the way I look at it.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah, unless they have something inside of them, whether it's from their home or whatever it is, that they say they hate Jewish people. And that's the way I look at it. Like, how can you promote Hamas rapists, murderers? And by the way, that's why they are preemptively attacking Hezbollah, because they had a brigade, and that's where their cell phones and the pagers were blowing up. There was a brigade created, just like Hamas did, to enter into the house, like they entered into all those what do you call it? What is those places called again in Israel? All those oh my god.
The what? The kibbutzim?
The kibbutzim, oh my god.
Hello,
wow, what the heck is going on with me? All the kibbutzim, that's why they displaced 100,000 people in north of Israel,
in the north,
for the fear that there's going to be, that they have this brigade, and their goal is to go enter and rape and kill and murder and put on GoPros the same way they did in Hamas, to continue this battle, because they have a religious thing. For them, martyrism is, go for it. We'll pay you salary if your family did it. That's the way it works.
Yeah, the pay for slay. Well, it's interesting the narrative that's sort of coming out of the Middle East these days because, look, we understand that anti-Jew, anti-Judaism, anti-Judea, anti-Semitism is literally the oldest form of hatred in the world. It's not going anywhere, and it stays underground potentially, and then something happens and it rears its ugly head. Look what happened October 7th. We're starting to see how things like the Holocaust,
were able
or
to
the
happen.
pogroms, could have possibly even happened because it was like, what? What's going on? What? Who? What? We? So, only the paranoid survive. But on October 7th, when Israel was attacked, October 8th, Hezbollah then started shooting rockets.
Right.
All right, let's get them. Okay. Before Israel even responded. Meanwhile, you had the world sort of rejoicing. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? Israel hasn't been in Gaza since 2006, the disengagement. Hamas has been running it. I get it. You can criticize Israel and the government, but you can't really criticize the Jewish people, right? So, but now what's interesting is the whole conversation of, occupation, it's a genocide, it's apartheid, which is all sort of a bunch of BS because say hello to the fly for me.
Like what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, there you go.
Another distraction. Okay, go ahead.
So, you can make that argument. Cool. I'm not saying that you're right, but all right, it's apartheid state. Never mind the fact that Jews have been kicked out of pretty much the majority of every single Arab country, but 20% of Israelis are, hey, get that fly. You better get that thing. 20% of Israelis are Muslim, Arab, right. Palestinians. Never mind that. But now it's interesting, and here's my point. What does Hezbollah have to do with territorial disputes?
There's nothing there.
What does Beirut have to do with Israel? What does the Houthis in Yemen have to do with what's going on? What is Syria, Damascus, Bashar al-Assad? What is his role in, the 1967 war?
Right.
What does Iran have to do? So then you start to realize, oh, this isn't really about borders and, two people, two states. This is about death and destruction of Israel. And these people, jihadists, ultimately being funded by not Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran. Let's not forget, there's two words in front of Iran. Don't forget those two very important words. They're funding all this, and they want to see this death and destruction. So it just makes you think, because at some point, even as a Jew, as a person who actually values life, you might be saying, yeah, I don't love the fact that there's war going on and people dying, and I don't want to see this. It's not like, yes, we killed some Palestinians. And nobody wants this.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants this. But so then you second guess things. But then you start to see Hezbollah, which is a terrorist group, the Houthis, the Islamic Jihad, the Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, Boko Haram, the list goes on and on. These are all just death and destruction, death cults.
Right.
And they want death to America, death to Israel, death to the West, death to the EU. They want the death of Western civilization, and they want to return people back to, year 700 AD. Doorbell, hello.
Yeah, doorbell. It's like it's my wife. She's not a master of life. She doesn't get it.
Listen, you get the degrees. Degrees pay fees, honey. So it just gives me a little bit more certainty that Israel has the right to defend itself, because when you start to make concessions and say, okay, maybe we'll go easy on this one, look what happens. Hezbollah steps up next. Iran sends a check to the Houthis. Islamic Jihad starts showing up. The Muslim Brotherhood's like, what's up? You need somebody? I'm down to kill some Jews. Let's go, baby. It's never going to stop.
It's like a mafia takedown. It's like the mafia takedown. Anyway, guys, we're going to end off with that with Adam. Adam, as always, listen, master of life, bro. Master of life. He is a financial guru. He understands life. He understands things. He is awesome on PBD. He's awesome on his own podcast. Honestly, constantly growing in numbers. I think amongst the group, you have the largest following in subscription.
Yes.
Right? Not to offend the others. You know, I'm not offending the others.
No, we love the others.
I love the others.
Right.
I love to watch the others in their shows, especially Tom
and by the way, thank you for the kind words. We're gonna get that fly one of these days.
I don't know what the heck is going on, bro.
Mr. Miyagi might show up and get him with some chopsticks.
Yeah.
I'll leave the audience with this. This is just my 2 cents at the end. You know, you said he's a financial expert and he's got one of the biggest podcasts. That's great. And that's cool. I appreciate that. Thank you. But we all have to start somewhere. I was a broke 25-year-old, no clue what I was going to do, partying in South Beach. You're not invited. You're happily married man.
I'm not going to go.
And I said, I got to get my life together here. And it took me on a pathway to success, but learning. And there's something that we say around here in Valuetainment is that, you know, the 4 pillars of success, outwork, out-strategize, okay, outlast, and the other one that people often forget is outlearn. You have to constantly be learning and improving your skills so you don't get left in the dust. So that's how you can outlast the competition.
Appreciate that. Shout out to our producers, Boris Benjamin, Ruben Benjamin, our CFO, who's also producer of our company, Michael Yusupov, and our greatest producer, head of all iShook Productions, Daniel Baldwin. May God bless everybody.
Yeah. A Baldwin brothers situation may be coming soon to Valuetainment iShook. We just had Stephen Baldwin, your partners with Daniel Baldwin.
Yeah, let's get something happen, VT.
A little pitbull, a little
bit. Yeah, listen, if he's there, I'm coming just to sideline, you know, to see. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate Adam. Much respect, everybody. Shalom.